Good morning. This is Ben from I'm Not Licensed. And it's early. It's about 7:30 in the morning. But just had me a little breakfast sandwich sitting out here by the pool thinking about some content. And I was like, I spent the last couple of days down at the apartment and I've come back to the house and I just noticed something. I mean, I've noticed it before, but this seems like it's pretty fitting for content as far as like right now goes, right? So, let's talk about it. Let's talk about mediocrity. My roommate, let's just start with him, right? He's 40 years old. He doesn't really have a day job. He sits around and plays Xbox all day long. He doesn't even wash his dishes. When he's done eating, he just puts them in the sink or puts them on the counter, or worse, he has this little collection area on the countertop where he leaves them. Dogs. Um, Fork, spoon, bowl, spatula, tongs to flip his chicken over. His defense to that is, well, I'm going to use them again anyways. Okay, so you're going to take a shit again anyways, right? So what's the point of wiping your ass? Right? I mean, that's kind of like my thought process. But it's like the guy doesn't do anything outside of get up, go to the couch, turn on the TV, and start playing Xbox with his friends. I mean, I get it that it's fun. I love playing video games just as much as the next guy, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, fuck. Like when you don't clean up after yourself, you have bags upon bags of garbage inside the apartment because you don't want to take them out. You don't have any motivation to take them out. You don't have any responsibility to take them out. Um, it's fucking sad, you know? And I don't know if I feel sorry for the guy or if I'm just annoyed. Uh, Probably a lot of both, you know? Like, excuse me. I may not be like the most motivational person in the world. I may not always have the most motivation, but I'll tell you what I do. When I'm done eating, I clean up after myself. If the bag of garbage is full, I take it out. Even if I've been sitting in front of the TV playing PlayStation all day long, and I go and I'm hungry and I go make myself a sandwich, I still clean up after myself. I still take the garbage out. I still take the recycles out. I still refill stuff that's in the refrigerator that's maybe low or empty, not just for myself but for others. Um, it's just sad. And then I noticed that there was dishes in the dishwasher. Who knows how long those dishes have been in there, right? So he's like fishing around the house. Oh man, I don't have any more dishwashing pods. So now my next question is going to be, well, how long are those dishes going to sit in that dishwasher until he gets some dishwashing pods to be able to put them, or to be able to run the dishwasher? Because let me tell you, he was already at 2 bags of garbage and the rice cooker bowl and a pan in the sink. I mean, it's funny because I have a friend, as I've said before on this channel before, about she is licensed, and we bounced stuff off of each other before, and I was talking about him to her, and she said he's basically a man child, and the reality is that he's exactly that. He vapes, he sits on the couch, he plays Xbox, he doesn't clean up after himself. As a matter of fact, at the end of the night, whenever he's done gaming, he will turn on the TV and leave the TV running while he falls asleep on the couch. Alright, so that's fine. I get that, if you fall asleep on the couch because you're exhausted or you're tired or whatnot. But what does that do for your roommate? Well, I'll tell you what it does for your roommate. It locks down a majority of the apartment. So now, like, Let's just hypothetically say I wanted to use the living room. I can't use the living room because your fucking ass is sleeping on the couch. Well, why can't you go in your bedroom and sleep in your bedroom, in your bed, where most people sleep? Makes sense, right? So it's crazy when I think about, the level of mediocrity in society. And here's the other reason why, right? My girlfriend's son is well on his way to being exactly that guy right there. At 17 years old, this kid has no forward thinking skills. He can't think for himself. He can't do anything outside of what he's told to do because he doesn't have any level of awareness. As a matter of fact, it takes him 2 days to mow the lawn. One day he mows the front, one day he mows the back. And I'm sitting here looking at the yard, and I'm thinking to myself, you did an absolutely shit job this weekend. Why? Because I wasn't here to actually weed whack. Well, it wouldn't make any difference anyways, because it doesn't. He goes through, he does his half-assed job, and then he runs off in his room and he fucking hides for the weekend. But the yard isn't weed whacked. I mean, he's well on his way. All he does all summer, so far this summer, is hide in his room, watch podcasts on his phone, in the dark, against his mother's better judgment, and against his mother's direction, because she's always like, hey, you know what, you need to have your light on, so that way your eyes aren't straining to see your phone. Think he listens? No. Think he takes out the trash when it's full? No. He doesn't even take out the trash in his own bathroom. She asked me the other day, did he mention anything about the towel rack that was broken? I said, no. He doesn't really talk. He doesn't fucking communicate. So how am I supposed to know anything about what goes on in this house outside of what somebody tells me without me seeing it myself, right? And I don't go in their bathroom because their bathroom is absolutely disgusting. I have been here for months. I have never once seen someone clean that bathroom. Ever. Hair, dirt, grime, soap scum, splash marks, facial shavings. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So she says, did he mention anything about the towel rack? No. So I go in there. One half of the towel rack is hanging down. His fucking towel is on it. So I told her, if the towel rack is broken, why in the fuck would you continue to use it? It's the world we live in. That right there is the world that we live in. We are done with the level of responsibility of people that are forward thinkers and that see things the way that they need to be done, and they see a problem and they fix or address a problem. No, we live in this head in the sand mentality. I'm looking at my phone. I have nothing to do outside of feed myself, and that's it. Same thing goes for Derek. So the term man-child had come up, right? My therapist friend. And I was like, I absolutely have those tendencies. Like, I could be that guy sometimes. Sometimes I don't want to do anything. Sometimes I just want to sit in front of the TV. I want to veg out. I want to play PlayStation. I want to do nothing. But that doesn't work all day long because shit has to be done, right? If you don't do it, someone else has to. And if someone else has to, and you've been home all day long, whether or not that person is going to build resentment towards you or not, you don't know. That person might just be used to it. She might be conditioned to just do it. Clearly that's the case here, right? She's just conditioned to do everything inside of the four walls of the house because the kids don't do it. The rebuttal? Well, if my mom wants me to do something, she can ask me to. Really? That's the mentality. That that's how this kid thinks, right? At 17. So imagine, 40 years old, you can already pretty much take him to my apartment and say, "Listen, this is your future, right here. This right here. This is your future." It's sad because it's not just these two. It's many, many, many others that just want to do nothing. They want to hide from society. They want to hide behind their phone. They want to hide behind their TV screen. They want to hide in their rooms. They want to hide in their house. They want to go out in public and wear headphones. They want to go out in public and wear masks. You know, it's like they have absolutely no intention of interacting with the rest of society for some fucking strange reason, right? And it's kind of sad because, I mean, how do we evolve as a society and humanity if we don't have the skills to interact with others? I mean, if you can't even interact with the people that you are in the house with, then how are you going to interact with people outside the house? You know? Before summer happened, right? So she tells him, she told me, but allegedly she told him too, that he needed to either get a job or he needed to go to summer school. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, at least he's got some sort of like a direction, right? Well, here we are, I don't know, at least probably a month into this summer vacation. Allegedly, he's applied for one job where she told him to apply, which was Publix. And I talked to him at dinner one night, and he was pretty much giving me the fuck you attitude. And he said that he only wanted to work at Publix, so therefore he was only going to apply at Publix. So I said, okay, so your mom has told you that you either need to get a job or you need to go to summer school, and then you've created this third option, which is to do nothing. Well, yes, that's it. So her defense to this, because, you know, he's a mama's boy, her defense to this is, well, I guess he doesn't get a car. So it's clearly a level of enabling at that point, right? Because now you're just saying, oh, okay, well, I already said one thing, or I already said either this or this has to happen. You're not going to do this, so therefore we'll just say that you don't get that. Like, that's the result. Like, there's no other consequence other than that, right? So there's no like, hey, listen, I told you to do this or this. Get your ass out there and get a fucking job. No, we don't do that. We just enable these kids, stick the tit right in their mouth and let them suckle on it forever. And, you know, here we are, my roommate, 40 years old, fucking man-child. And again, it's not just these two. I mean, there are thousands of people just like them. And it's really, really sad. It really is. I don't know. I mean, are we going to get to a point to where everybody can just work remotely at some point? I mean, it sounds cool, but like, who's going to go out and do the plumbing jobs, and who's going to go out and do yard landscaping, and who's going to go out and do delivery jobs? Who's going to deliver these fucking lazy people their food? Other lazy people that don't want to get real jobs? Okay. So like, you start thinking to yourself, you know, I remember seeing one time there was a cartoon, and it was, I think it was a cartoon. It might have been a movie, but I'm pretty sure it was a cartoon where like it was way set in the future where everybody interacted virtually, and all there was in these rooms was these big fat people, and they were just sitting in these chairs with these monitors in front of them, and that's all they did all day long. They just interacted virtually with other people from their rooms, like little jail cells. And they were huge. I'm like, Hmm. Who started that trend? I mean, I'm just kind of curious. Like, is there somebody that's out there that's like, hey, I started the introvert trend. I'm the one that started it all. I'm the one that you should be thanking for this. Like, it, it's uh, it's wild to me, because I had to have a job at 16. My daughter didn't have to have a job at 16, but she chose to get one. Her first job, she worked at Topgolf, one of the Topgolfs when it first opened up. I mean, and I told her, I was like, listen, if you stay there long enough, I mean, granted, yeah, it's a corporate job, but I mean, at your age, you could be, running one of these locations before you know it. Like, by the time you're old enough to drink legally, you could be running a Topgolf of your own. Clearly, she didn't want that path. But, I mean, let's face it, at 16, she had a job. At 17, she was committed to the military. At 18, she signed up to go into the military, and she was gone. So here we go, like, there's been me, who's worked my entire life. Her mom worked her entire life. My other daughter's mom worked her entire life. Like, that generation, we all know, I mean, you gotta work, right? You gotta go out there and you gotta do shit. You gotta take out the trash. You gotta scrub the toilet. You gotta fucking wash the sink. You've gotta clean the bathroom. Like, you have to do the menial shit that nobody likes to do because nobody else is gonna do it unless you're rich and you got a maid or somebody that can come into your house and do it for you, right? Or you just leave it, and then till when? Till you have roaches? And then it's too late at that point, But here we go, like you have, like I said, my generation, her mom's generation, my other daughter's mom's generation. Like, we're all kind of the same. We're all in our 40s, but like we all had that mentality of like, hey, I guess you gotta get a job, man. Oh, I guess you gotta work for a living, If I want to have stuff, I gotta go work for it, I can't just live off the tit my entire life because why? The tit doesn't pay for tennis shoes. The tit doesn't pay for golf. The tit doesn't pay for fishing. The tit doesn't pay for Xbox games. Somebody's got to do it. I love those. They're so good. I mean, I don't do the zero sugar just because I'm getting old. I do it because it tastes good. But anyways, like, I'm still just in awe, right? And the man-child term came up, and I thought it was like very, very fitting, right? Because here you have a 40-year-old man that acts like a child. I can do it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm almost 50, and I can act like a child better than most. But guess what? You ain't gonna come home from work and have to pick up your fingers. You're not going to have to come home from work and clean the house. You're not going to have to come home from work and do shit around the house if I'm here, because I'm going to make sure that it's all done throughout the course of the week. There's a lot of shit you're not going to end up having to do because someone's here to do it for you, right? The sad state is that you would think that the people that live here and the people that benefit the most off of it should be the ones that do that stuff, right? But they don't. Why? Mom just sticks the tit in their mouth and says, here, suckle on this. We'll just coddle you, drag you along until you finally decide, oh, I think it's time that I probably should move out, buy a pair of Janko pants, and get a chain wallet, dye my hair blue, and say I hate Trump. I will say this. Thank you to all of the kids, like my own. And I mean, I definitely brag about my kids because they have turned out to be absolutely spectacular human beings. I mean, we all have our shortcomings, sure, absolutely. I mean, I have mine, everybody has them, right? But at the grand scheme of like work ethic and whatnot, the two of them have become, very, very upstanding citizens. Obviously, one is in the military. 91 Foxtrot, working on guns, working on cars. Like, she's just doing all kinds of just random stuff. Just recently administered her first IV. So like, she's really taken the military life, serious, and she's learning stuff that they're willing to teach her which, as I told her, like, look, if you can, use your deployment time and learn everything that you possibly can, because you can get all of that training for free. You don't have to come home, and you don't have to go to like a community college. You don't have to go to like a DeVry or something like that, or whatever the school is where you learn how to do all that stuff. Learn it in the military, and then you'll have that experience for the rest of your life. The other one, firefighter, EMT, like, she worked on an ambulance for like the longest time, saving lives. Married to former Army guy, and who's now a cop. I mean, shit. I mean, it makes me feel inferior to my own kids, because here I am. I'm just a diver and a boat captain. Like, I could mow the lawn, I could weed whack, I could do like the menial domestic shit, So, to all the parents out there that have raised kids that don't just want to sit around all day long and suckle off the system, that actually have some drive to go out there and do something. You see these kids riding their bicycles, and they're carrying fishing poles, they're going fishing. You see these kids riding their Suron bikes, like, well, I don't agree with the fact that they're riding them on the streets and they're doing what they're not supposed to be doing. The reality is that they could be sitting on their fucking ass doing nothing. So, I mean, as long as they're out there, they're having a good time, they're being safe, they're not being disrespectful to the land or to other people, what harm are they doing? I got another friend, he's got a son, super good at fishing, and, he's already started to, handle a boat. I'm sure that by 16, he'll have his boater safety card, and I'm sure that by 19, he'll have his captain's license, and that'll be pretty awesome. So, like, to all the parents out there, whether you've raised them or not, because, like, not every parent raises their kid to be somebody. Some parents take a back seat. Some kids just grow up to do their own thing, and then they end up being, upstanding citizens, or they end up being like, fruitful, or what the hell am I saying, productive in society. And then other parents just drive it into their kids. Other parents are super, super supportive, like, you're gonna play football, or you're gonna play baseball, or you're gonna play hockey, and like all of these, just drive it into these kids' brains that these are the things they're gonna do. And it's just I don't know, to all those parents out there, man, that did it, and all those kids, every single kid, the younger generation that's out there. I mean, I don't give a shit if you play Xbox. I don't care if you play PlayStation. I don't even care if you play video games or whatever it is that you do, your vice for your escape, if you want to hide in your room or whatnot. But I mean, mediocrity, and also have the ability to go out there into public and interact with other people. Don't just sit around and be fucking lazy. Because the only person you're hurting is yourself. Because when you get out there into society as an adult, and you finally end up having to move out, and you get out there into the real world, you want to be able to have those life skills. And if your parents didn't teach them to you, shame on them, because they should teach you how to do your dishes. They should teach you how to do your laundry. They should teach you how to cook. They should teach you how to do things that you're going to experience out there in the real world, because let's face it, the education system is not going to do it. So you've got to be able to get out there and make it happen. So I know it's been a little bit of time since my last video, and there's just always so many things that you want to do a video of, and I probably should just do videos on all of them. But then most of the time it just sounds like I just end up in here bitching and moaning, and it's like, yeah, you know what? The reality is it's probably a lot of the truth. Like, I am on here just bitching and moaning, but instances like this, it's just kind of like, it's kind of warranted, because we're talking about society. We're talking about, when I get into my 60s and 70s, these kids are going to be running stores, managing stores, having businesses, we hope. And essentially, the new society that we're just going to be interacting in. And you hope that it doesn't change what we are as human beings or as Americans, because of this mentality. I mean, we already see it, People that I don't want to serve this person because this person's gay. I don't want to serve this person because they're black. I don't want to serve this person because they're white. You know, whatever the case is, like, there's always going to be people out there in the world that are bitching and moaning, and we don't want that. Like, who wants that? Everybody wants to just live in a country where we can live in harmony, right? Otherwise, we'd live in a third world country and we'd be worried about our safety every day. So, like, just to recap, you know, like, I just want to say to all the parents out there that raise your kids right, and even the kids that weren't raised right that turned out to be all right, kudos. You guys all deserve a pat on the back. And, you know, I know that we all live a very thankless life. It's not even just the parents out there that live the thankless lives. These kids, you know, these kids deserve the positive reinforcement. Hey, man, you know what? I noticed that you were doing this. Hey, I noticed that you were doing that. You know, I appreciate that. Like, you're on the path to greatness. You know, some positive reinforcement could go a long ways. You don't know what's going on in someone's life. You don't know that kid didn't just get his ass reamed from his parents before he came to work at Publix, and now he's bagging your groceries and he accidentally put in one or two things into your bag that didn't go together. Like, you know, it's not the end of the world, but I mean, is it worth it to just rip the kid? No. You know, again, the same thing goes for everybody. You know, like, you don't really know what goes on in other people's lives outside of your own. So, you know, ripping people and potentially sending them off the deep end, it's not productive. So we all gotta get along. We all gotta do positive reinforcement to these kids, because at some point you're gonna be going into these businesses, or these kids are gonna be calling on you at your house to do your lawn, to clean your pool, you know, to do mechanic work on your vehicles and whatnot. And, you know, you wanna be sure that, one, they know what they're doing, but two, you know, you want to be appreciative for the fact that they're actually doing it, because there's so many of them, like the two that I just referenced, that have zero drive to do shit. And it's sad. They're gonna miss out on so much out there in life. I mean, I guess if it was me, I'd like to just suck on a tit and play PlayStation all day too. But that's not real. It's not reality. It's not even possible. So, unless I win the lottery. But anyways, I'm just going to close on that. Thank you to all the parents that raised good kids. Thank you to all the kids that raised yourselves. Thank you to all the kids that took your parents' advice and did the right thing, followed the advice, became something outside of what you may or may not have already been working on becoming. Just thank you. Thank you for making a society to where people want to belong in it. And for that, I'm Ben. I'm not licensed. Thank you. What do they say on YouTube? Like, comment, subscribe. Send me Venmo, send me money, PayPal, Patreon, OnlyFans, all that fun shit. Yeah, send me money, please, because I love attention and money. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do all that stuff. But nah, seriously. Got any questions, comments, concern? By all means, put them in the comments. Let's talk about it. Maybe we get to the point to where that's what we're doing. There's plenty of pages out there that are. Maybe one day. Until then, tell someone you love them.